Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rad Karate Productions. I'm here today, Jay Milligan, your host, along with Ashley King, who will be doing our Facebook questions today. Unfortunately, Julia Rowe had a furry friend emergency she had to go take care of, and she could not be here today. So we appreciate Ashley being able to step in my position so I can take over Julia's. But on to the great news. We are here with our winner of Survivor Yagong Island. Ian, how are you doing today? And congratulations once again.
Thank you. I'm doing well, Jay. Thanks for asking. Glad to be here. Glad to talk about Yagong Island.
Yeah, finally. So let's go ahead and let me just pull up her questions that she sent me over to me and we'll get into it. So obviously we had you do the videos beforehand, but like for anyone that hasn't didn't see those that went on the page, what was your overall strategy going into the mini and like how'd you adapt it throughout the game? Like what changed about it? And go ahead.
Yeah, I guess just my overall strategy, you kind of used the word was to adapt. I think most minis, the best strategy is to play every round as a different round and kind of use rounds in the past to get ahead in the future. I think that's the best case for any survivor game. Using your final 9 and 10 rounds to get ahead for final 6 and 7. I think that's the best strategy, and I think I used it. So
Yeah, and obviously very on we saw like that first challenge, like your tribe was struggling, you were like you get a little break there, but you obviously went to I think the most tribal councils. I think Kyle didn't even get to no, because Kyle went to one Leslie. Like you went to the most tribal councils out of anyone in the game. Like walk me through that. Like what was it have to constantly adapt and like you like basically got one round off. Like
yeah, the only round that I didn't go to tribal was final 14 when Andrew went home. But I didn't even realize that until after the game. But anyway, the first couple rounds, I think some people kind of shot themselves in the foot. I don't think I really did anything until final 9, but I don't know if anybody had really at that point. Yeah, just those early merge rounds, like I don't know, there's luck in Survivor, but I think the strategy that I picked just worked. And it's not going to work every time, but I think I did my best to read the room, and I've been reading most of those people for a long time, so just did my best.
no, I think we've all said it a million times. Like you did really well with making sure you knew where the connections were and like how to you knew how to like control everyone. Which kind of leads me to your next question. What aspect of the game, the physical, social, or strategic, do you think you played best in order to help you go as far as you did?
Um, Definitely not physical. I would say strategic. Um, I think my play at both final 9 and final 8, um, where I just refused to throw out a name, and I didn't want that coming back to me as Ian threw out so and so's name. We got to get him out. I already knew there was going to be a target on me later on, so I didn't want to add to that. So kind of getting Bill and Carrie to be those people, even though it wasn't my move. I didn't really care, because if it was my move, I would have been on the jury. So um, there, and then yeah, my move at final 4, which really was mostly convincing McKenna. I think Carrie had already made up her mind. It was just convincing McKenna not to vote for me and to vote for Carrie instead. So yeah, those two. And then, I mean, if I had to touch each one, social, I feel like I made connections at the right time. Obviously we all had connections in the game, but I feel like I made the one with Kyle early that kind of dissipated. And then right around when the Kyle started to target me, I picked up McKenna as someone else to work with, and then kind of utilized other people. Worked with John, worked with Bill. So just utilize the relationships as best as possible. And then physical, I feel like me doing poorly in challenges helped me. For the most part, I won the one tribe wall sit, but that wasn't much. It actually helped that Victoria and Matt went so long, that it kind of, me doing and winning immunity didn't really matter. So Yeah, I feel like me doing poorly helped in the physical game.
And just well, you mentioned it briefly, but like walk me through that. Like obviously in the on original Shy or Swap Shayu, we see carries like after Bo, carries after Kyle, then we see that Bill's after, you guys get mad out, then like you see Bill's very hard after breaking up DCP production. Like walk me through like those two votes and then like what happened after. Because that like seemed like that was like the carry was whatever, but like it seemed like she really pushed the target off you. And it seems like this was like what you do the work with Bill so that you weren't one of those production members who wanted out.
Um, for the Bo and Alex boots, yeah, Bo just wasn't giving me anything. I remember being in a room with him, asked him a couple questions. I don't know, and I could be completely wrong, but he just looked like he was like his wheels were churning, but like we weren't going anywhere. So that to me is like a big eye opener that like it's just not going to work. And man, that was mostly my case for Bo. I also kind of pushed Bo at that vote. Uh, Alex was just, I mean, I'm not going to say he wasn't just a casualty of DCP because he basically was. I'm not going to take away. He didn't really do anything extremely wrong. I mean, I think he made, I don't want to miss say what it was, but he made some sort of mistake in the round he went home or the round prior. But
He
again,
lied to Carrie. It was he lied to Carrie about writing down her name, and Carrie was like, "We're getting Alex out," and everyone was like, "Okay,
right,
not me."
right.
Because I think before that it was actually might have been Elijah. Like it was between the two, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yep. Um, yeah, so and then the Matt vote was kind of where in Final Tribal I talked about making a mistake, I guess, in the game where I kind of shouted Elijah's name before we went to vote, um, which I guess was like so stupid that it didn't come back to haunt me or anything. And also, I don't think Carrie cared or realized or whatever. Um, but after that vote, yeah, Bill and I and John, I think, or Kyle, one of the two, were in a room, and Bill just straight up asked me about DCP prod, and I gave him an honest answer and said no, that it wasn't going to be a demolition by the four of us because while we all did know each other, the final nine, the that's not what we wanted. I mean, we wanted to play the game based on things in the game, which I feel like happened. Um, so yeah, I think me just giving Bill that trust and allowing Bill to pick the final nine boot, basically, um, you know, I think that got me in with him, and then that helped us. Actually, I think that kind of helped me all the way up until final five because Bill didn't vote for me because he trusted me at final six, which was the 3-2-1. Which if he would have voted for me, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And I was fine with Bill staying at six. I just didn't want to throw out another name. I mean, I just kind of went with I said Bill because Bill decided not to tell me something. Um, but if he would have stayed, it wouldn't have been a huge deal to me because we could have just said, we voted for each other. It's no big deal. Let's, move on and just continue our relationship. So yeah, that's kind of I think that answered your question.
No, it did 100%. I think you definitely did a really good job with getting those connections in. So kind of leads me to the next question. Obviously, you brought up McKenna and Kyle, and you and like what you did with Bill, but it's like who do you think the most important bonds were, and who do you wish you made more bonds of connecting with? So if you want to just briefly answer the first half, and then kind of go upon the second.
I think the most important relationship I made in the game was Bill. I feel like if I don't make that connection at nine, then eight could have gone much differently. I think Bill probably would have selected me over John at eight because Carrie kind of asked them. We saw in the episode like, who would you prefer, or do you prefer one? And he said he didn't really prefer one. And I feel like if we didn't have that connection, he probably would have said me. Um, and then was there anyone that I wish I would have made a better connection with? Honestly, probably not. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to like talk with some people more, but not for game's sake, I don't think. I mean, I can't say yes because I won, but like
Mm.
um Let's see. I'll still answer anyway. I didn't have much of a game relationship at all with Elijah, so that one. I mean, we did vote together a couple of times, but um, yeah, we never really like did anything major together. So
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good answer. Like you just, all right, which just leads me. We talked about it briefly, but s- talk me through that Final Four, bro. That was impressive. It was an impressive display of you managing to stay there. What was your going through your head when once you had lost that immunity challenge, and like how did you manage to stay even as clear as a target? Because we see obviously Kyle's targeting you, and then obviously pinning McKenna and Carey against each other.
yeah, I think I touched on it briefly earlier, but about like preparing for future rounds in a current round, and I think I did that at final five. Yeah, right as Bill got voted out, I started thinking, okay, well, the next vote is me or Victoria. And if it's Victoria, then I need to prepare for the final four. And I don't know who's going to win immunity. So my thought process was um, I remember during the final five setup, I was thinking about it during final five tribal. Because if they didn't vote out Victoria, that would have been stupid. So I wasn't necessarily worried about that vote. Because if they didn't vote for Victoria, I was going to go home and I would have thought that was silly. And I don't know who I would have voted for or questioned at the end. But so, yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, and the only way that I could think of is that I make it at 2-1-1. I already know that Kyle is going to vote for me. There's no way he's going to try and keep me for final tribal. So Carrie had mentioned earlier several times that she thought that her and McKenna were playing the same game. So I just went with it. And, if it didn't work, I tried something. And Carrie came in. We were the first two to have a one on one, I think. And we talked, and she brought up possibly voting for McKenna just because they played so similarly. And I kind of just kept pushing that. And I kept saying, like, it's okay if you vote for me. Like, our relationship is fine. I said that to all three of them. It's not going to affect our IRL relationship if you vote for me in this game. Um, but that I did say, like, or we could make it a 2-2 tie and do fire, but I understand not wanting to do that. But if you vote for McKenna and I vote for McKenna, like, we could guarantee that you're sitting there at least. And then that's kind of the same thing I used with McKenna. McKenna took a little more pushing because she came in, I think, more so like inclined to vote for me to go home. So we sat there for a while. The two of us, we had a long conversation. Again, a lot of like, our relationship is going to be fine. Like, there's no worries. But I think I kind of use that to my advantage as well. I think just I don't know how to describe it, but being okay with going home, I think helped. I think if I would have pushed really hard, I don't think it would have worked. So yeah, I mean, I just chose. I thought Carrie had the best chance out of the three to get votes. Not necessarily did I think she played the best game. Because it would have been nice to hear all three of them talk. Because final tribal changes based on who's in there, so it would have been nice to see who came out of that group. But I thought that Carrie going in had the best chance to just earn votes outright. So between her and McKenna, so that's just why I picked Carrie for the final four boot.
No, and you did a really good job. Like I just want to say because like we were like final six, and in our chat we're like, man, they missed their shot to go to VN, and then we get the final four. I'm like, all right, this is like just short, and I think you did really good convincing it. Because when McKenna came in, she's sitting there for like a minute. She's like, "I got two no cards, guys. I don't know what I'm doing." We see like she does it. Like she legitimately didn't like decide until the last minute. So like that last minute pushing, obviously like very much will paid off for you. And obviously this is like we kind of touched upon this, which is like one of my last questions. Like the pre-existing connections played a major role in the portion of the game. How did you navigate them overall? I think you kind of touched upon that, so I'm going to go ahead and some of your other earlier questions. And if you could pick one, if you could pick one pre-merger that you, sorry, what if you could pick one pre-merger that you wish made merge, who would it be and why?
Um, hmm. I would probably say Andrew. I think Andrew and I got along really well the first round. Um, I know he told me he got a good vibe for me in the first round. So I think Andrew, and also Andrew again is just another challenge shield for me. So would have helped me later on in the game as well. So that's who I would pick.
All right, and that's. I just have one more question I'm going to ask you at the end, so we can do.
All right.
We can go ahead and head over to Facebook.
Okay. The first question is from Carrie. She said, I love you, you're like a brother to me. At what moment did you think to yourself, I won this game? Additionally, if you could compare your gameplay to a sport, excluding croquet, which sport would you choose?
All right. Well, first of all, Carrie, I love you too. Thank you. That's very nice. So I remember sitting at Final Four Tribal. I had just went and told my girlfriend Gabby kind of like what I did to do my best to get into Final Tribal, and I'm sitting there holding the pillow at Tribal like I did every time, and I think the third vote was for me, but as soon as I saw the second vote was for Carrie, I like said into my pillow, like, oh my God, I did it. Cause that I just knew that McKenna was going to vote with me. By the time we left the room, I was pretty sure of it. So when I saw that there's only one name for me, I would have been pretty shocked if it was 2-1-1 for me to go home. So that's when I knew at that point, I was pretty convinced that if I had made it to Final Tribal, that I was going to win. So.
Okay, next is from McKenna.
Oh wait, the sport question. Oh shit, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Ashley.
Oh, sorry. Were you doing the
No,
sports
you're
question?
okay.
Sorry.
Um, I would actually say golf. Um, because like different holes or like the different rounds, and you have to use a different club depending on the hole. Um, and then also kind of like I talked about earlier, different times you need to use like a setup. You need to, sometimes punch yourself out of the woods so you can get back onto the fairway and chip up onto the green so you can putt. So yeah, that's kind of what I was doing in the game. So that would be my pick.
Okay, and next is from McKenna Feeney, just so you know, it's not the other McKenna.
All right.
There are no words to say how proud of you I am because you kicked Major Dump Truck. So what I gotta know is, what is your favorite dumpster?
All right. Well, for those of you who don't know, I work in the trash industry. So my answer is a 6-yard front loader, which is just your normal dumpster with arms on the sides, or a 4-yard rear loader, because 4-yard or rear loaders have wheels, so there's no like access issues or stuff. I could go on and on, but yeah, that's what I'll say.
Okay, and next is the other McKenna.
Alrighty.
And her question is, what is your favorite level of Overcooked? That's her first question. And her second question is, if you were to play Whodunit, would you want to be the murderer or the winner, and why?
All right. First question. I prefer the burger levels on Overcooked. I don't know why. They do more for me, I think, than the sushi or the pasta or whatever. So I'm gonna say specifically, I can't remember if it's 2-5 or 2-6, but there's a rotating circle in the middle with like all of the cookware, and you'll like get caught up on one side or the other. So that's my favorite Overcooked level. And then I would rather be the winner of Whodunit. Being the killer would be fun, but like, I don't know. you'd want to win. I don't know. I'd want to be the winner rather than if you've seen the season, I feel like people would remember who the winner is before they'd remember who the killer is. Not that that's like what I'm going for, but I would want to play, like really play the game. So.
Okay, and the next question is from Bill. He said, Ian, why did our combo with Carrie make you think I would betray you? I thought it was pretty obvious who I was talking about. My bad. I don't know what he's talking about there. Maybe you do. Who would you have voted if you hadn't had our miscommunication? Was I always doomed that round? And will you marry me?
All right. First, I'll answer the last question. Yes, Bill, I will. Secondly, I think, again, this is probably one of those things of getting like the game catching up to you. I probably took it too far, like Bill not in that round. Bill and I were in a room with Carrie, and Bill was saying that Victoria said one of our names, and he just wouldn't say who. And I had been up front with Bill for the entire game up until that point. So I was just expecting the same. And even though I knew who it was, no, why not? Why not just say it? If it's that obvious, then just say it, because it's almost like he was saving face for Victoria. And I was like, okay, well, Victoria is not my ally right now. So I was just like Bill needs to go. Was he always doomed that round? The only person I probably would have voted for other than that was Carrie. I should have probably tried to push Kyle, but I don't think the numbers would have been there for that. So Carrie would have been the only other option. And yeah, I didn't tell Bill not to vote for me. He kind of ran with the McKenna thing on his own. So, I mean, hey, like I said earlier, if we would have voted for each other and survived rocks, we would have just came back, I think, and tried to work together again. So at least I would have. But
okay, and the next question is from Lily. If Yagong were to all play nerds, who would you want to be your partner and why?
All right, this is an easy one. My partner would be McKenna Inglis, solely based on the fact that she's better than everyone else. So that would be that would be my partner choice. But I would partner with anybody. So.
Okay, and the next question is from John Milsip. Said, Ian, my dearest friend, once again, congratulations on a well-deserved win. What would the perfect soundtrack to this season be?
All right, I've been thinking about this one quite a lot. I came down to two. One is kind of more serious, which is it's Life in Your Glass World by Citizen. It's my favorite album from last year. I think a lot of the songs kind of, I don't know, when I listen to them, like sometimes I'll think about the game or hosting or whatever. So I don't know why that is. And there's no exact correlation. But my other choice, which is kind of more fun, is Songs About Jane by Maroon 5, but I would switch it to Songs About DCP because that's kind of, the post-merge of the game. So yeah, those are my choices. I don't know what John was going for, if he was like talking about a movie or music or whatever. So yeah, those are my picks. I hope that satisfies your hunger for the answer, John.
Okay, and next up is Kylie. She said, Ian, King of Yagong, you absolutely dominated this season. You are so fun to watch play, and I am mega impressed by you taking a break from hosting and killing it as a player. There's nothing you aren't good at. Her first question is, what roller coaster from Cedar Point or any other amusement park describes your Yagong play?
All right. I had to think about this first one too. First of all, thank you, Kylie, for the kind words as well. Didn't have to say any of that. My pick would be from Cedar Point. It's called the Millennium Force. It goes up 300 feet and comes down at about 90 miles an hour. It's a long buildup up the hill, which is kind of, what my Yagong game was. And then, like Jay kind of said earlier, once I hit final 9, I didn't stop churning. So till the game was over. So that's what I'll say. And then I'm actually not drinking a soda right now, but after this, I will be drinking a Dr. Pepper Zero dark berry. If you haven't had them, get them. They're incredible.
Okay, and next up is Greg. He said, absolute legend. You totally crushed this game, and it was fun watching you play. My question for you, make up a band name that best summarizes your game.
All right. Again, something that took me a while. But I went with something I would describe kind of the way that I play is like I almost invite people in and then send them on their way. So the band name that I chose is Cordial Invitation, which also is like a play on words of me hosting normally as well. But yeah, I feel like I invited people in to work with me or for a round or two, and they came. So, but that's it. I invited everybody to Yagong and was the last one there. So,
And that wraps up our Facebook questions.
thank you, everyone.
You may end up making that garden. And just the last question. Of course, your game. Of course, you over the course of your game, what do you think the key moments were that helped you your case in the end? And there's anything that you thought might have helped or hurt you at tribal councils? Like what helped? What do you think helped you, and what do you think might have potentially hurt you at the end there?
Helped would be, let's see, I'm gonna try and hit a couple here. The Bill letting Bill control the Lily vote, voting out John, making an alliance with McKenna at final 6, and then the move at final 4. Those would be the selections that I would make. And then mistakes, you said?
No, just things you thought, like maybe not mistakes, but things that when you were sitting at final trial, you're like, oh, this could have hurt me. Like, if that makes sense.
I would say poor. I mean, not that it's a huge facet of the game, but poor challenge performances. There were definitely some that I'm very good at, like the memory challenge. Like I looked down at my cards. I lost on the first card. I looked down at my cards and had no aces. So I was like, I forgot the entire sequence. I don't know what I was playing that all 4 aces were out of the deck, but yeah. And also I was worried going into final tribal that people would kind of use the relationships against me. That's why I kept hitting on the point that like I voted people out based on what happened in the game, because I do have a relationship with, a pretty close relationship actually with everybody from final 9 on. I've either hosted them or helped produce a game with them or been friends with them for a long time. So yeah, I would say those were 2 things that I was sort of worried about, but I think by the time we had, gotten through a question or 2, I was, I was okay with where I was at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you did an amazing job. Just real quick, did you know you're missing the aces before the actual thing,
No,
or like
I laid out my cards and I usually do ace high. So I laid out all 52 or 48 of my cards from 2 through king in their suit. And then I was staring at the left side of my deck and I was like, oh, the aces are at the top. And then I look and they're not there. So no, I mean, it was just a stupid mistake on my part. Oh, also that touchy subjects round was really funny to watch because I got like every single one. I think that helped me as well. Kind of winning a few of those, like it helped my narrative. I don't know if it helped my game in the time, but the mistakenly in control one was a big one. And most strategic, I think, helped me in final tribal. I was able to use those to my advantage. So
I was gonna say, I was actually gonna say if you want to touch upon that, but he actually did it. Like, yeah, but other than that, I'm all set with that. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us again today. It's such great to have you. I literally DM'd you and we were like, oh, we need people, and you stepped up and played, and obviously paid off for you. So I know you retired. Maybe we'll see you in the future. Who knows? But
I'm always retired. No, I mean, just to interject about that a little bit. Yeah, Jay messaged me about grabbing people for the mini if I could help, or get some people, or if I knew anybody. And like, I know how much work it takes to set up a game, to host it. So I kind of just offered to play. I was like, if you need people, like, I'll do it. So yeah, I never want someone, no matter who it is, to like go through the process of making a game or creating something and then not being able to fall through with it. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm glad I was able to play. It was a lot of fun.
It is very hard for anyone out there who is watching. But other than that, we are gonna get into the last little things here. So obviously tomorrow night we have our reunion hosted, and on Saturday our on Friday and Saturday Friday night we record the recap, and it'll be posted up on Saturday. Other than that, we are all set here. We want to thank everyone for everything they've done all season. And with that being said, we have our winner of Survivor Yagong Island, Ian Moorhead. And thank you everyone so much. Have a good night. And remember, if you're watching this, Bayonetta Island applications are still out. Go apply. Don't miss your chance. You could be sitting at this exit of you like Ian is tonight.
You could be.
It's